Welcome back to the Blindsiders. I am Ben and joined by Brian and Dylan, and we are here to, I guess, talk about episode 7 of Survivor 44. I feel like this is either going to be a really short one or a long one because either we are going to want to get through this really quick and be done with it so we don't have to think about it anymore, or we're going to have to rant about it for an hour and a half because I think we were all on the same page. That was not great.
Dylan, do you want to take it first?
Yeah. I hated it. I hated everything about it. I hate Jeff. I hate production. It's like I just said, I feel like that's the one that finally broke me. I think they took what was going to be one of the better seasons, and then for no reason at all, just murdered it. Just with a giant episode of just things we hate and don't want. I'm like kind of actually really, I was like mad first. Now I'm just sad talking about it because I genuinely feel like, I don't know. We still have my main player left in the game, Carolyn. So like I'm still rooting for her, but I think a lot of I think a big puzzle piece in this season was removed between the Franny and Matt thing. I mean, that regardless of when that happened, or it had to happen eventually. Just the way it happened, just a complete kneecapping of Matt. It's very frustrating to watch, and just the way everything worked out. I'm just incredibly upset. That's all I got to say. I'm just very upset. You know, we're gonna start yelling about it, but it makes me really sad because like we go over it every week. You know, is the heyday of Survivor really over? And then you're starting to get hope.
It is, yes,
a really good season,
is.
and then this really was like a really big reminder. It is because they literally can't get out of their own way. I don't get it. I don't understand. I just don't understand it. Yeah.
No, I don't either. Well, before I get too into it, I want to say something very nice about Survivor 44 because I don't feel like we're going to have a lot of nice things to say about it. And that is, I got the merge buff. It's very nice. It's really great. The color scheme, the red, the black, and the yellow, very, very reminiscent of, I think, the best buff ever, the Survivor China buff. They even both have dragons, so that really knocked it out of the park this season with the buff design, specifically the merge buff. That's about all I have to say that's good about Survivor 44 at this moment.
Mm-hmm. Set design
this
too.
Was set design. Yeah. The medieval theme, great, really wonderful. So this was a bad twist, and then another bad twist, and then a misplaying of a bad twist to make like a less interesting episode. It was a really impressive like series of events to make like such a lackluster episode here.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing that really stands out is that like previously when we've talked about like the knowledge is power advantage, which we clown on a bunch, like even when that advantage had flopped in previous seasons, there have been like interesting ways that it has flopped, right? And like it's created like at least like a TV moment where it was like, yes, it was a flash in the pan, and it was kind of like, it was kind of like a Transformers like big blockbuster style explosions, but like it was at least something to grab onto. Here we had like so many cluttered twists that were totally unnecessary that didn't even end up in anything interesting. Like there wasn't even like a moment. There wasn't like a thing that happened that was like, okay, this is bad for the health of the show, but at least we got like something to grab onto for like 5 seconds.
I think another really frustrating aspect of this episode too. I mean, obviously, of the kneecapping of Matt, the complete just like merging means nothing now. You merge and then you're not even fully merged for another like fucking 10 days. I feel really bad for Franny in the sense that she should be very proud of winning the first individual immunity. It ends up not even being a real individual immunity because Brandon wins it and then her whole team is immune. Not only that, I think that she's like, I know for sure she's definitely catching slack now on Reddit for not throwing, winning that, which sucks. It's bullshit. And in the moment, I wouldn't have thrown it either. It's very easy to say it in hindsight too. Even if she was thinking, he has that idol, whether it's, real or not or whatever. I hate it. It sucks. It sucks. It sucks. It really just sucks. It sucks. Did I mention it sucks?
I think it's definitely because I definitely thought in the moment too. I was like, oh, she should just throw this to protect Matt because Matt's like the obvious target. But I do think it's a little unfair to expect every player is a super fan, but not every player is like a complete psycho. Like Ben and I just said, is like, oh, my mind in this moment, if I'm the player, I'm thinking every scenario at every time, like I can't expect everyone to be like that. So I'm not going to give her any flack for not throwing it in the moment. I will give Heidi flack though for what she did here, because like this was the least optimal way to play this, in my opinion. I mean, let's see, the best way to play it to protect Matt, who seemingly is her ally. I know that she, had issues with him, which doesn't make any sense to me. The Soka tribe just loves getting rid of people who want to work with them, like Josh last episode, now leading to Matt's downfall here. But okay, the really only way to play this advantage from her point of view really should be, I'm stealing one of the Ratu players' votes. I'm putting it on another, I'm stealing Lauren's vote. I'm putting it on Jamie. I'm stealing Jamie's vote. I'm putting it on Lauren. Jam and Matt, I'm giving you a chance to just tie it. We all know Lauren has an extra vote, like Lauren said. Just tie it. Just go to rocks. Force, one of these other two Ratu players to also go to rocks, or they'll have a 50% chance of going home. If we go to rocks, one of you are going to have a 50% chance of going home, but you pretty much have a 50% shot of going home right now anyways. Just tie it, go to rocks, see what happens. That's really the only correct play in my mind for Heidi, to the point where it's like so insane to me that I literally went, oh no, out loud when she said that she's voting for Jam.
Can we talk about everything you just laid out though? So like that's another problem I'm having too. Is I think Heidi's, we talk about stocks each week. Heidi's stock's way down. And for sure the better option.
Yeah, she had some confessionals this episode, so that was trending up.
That's true. The better option for sure would be trying to place Ratu against each other. But think of everything you just laid out though, because Lauren had the 2 votes. Mm-hmm. In my mind, whatever Heidi did was going to be useless, because if you take one of Lauren's votes, put it on Jamie, I guess that's really the only way. I guess she could put it on Lauren herself too. So it would have been between Jamie and Lauren at that point. But then you're also basically asking Brandon and either Jam or Matt to buy into wanting to go to rocks, and it wasn't going to be Brandon, because then at that point, in
my opinion, you're not asking Brandon to go to rocks. You're only asking Jam or Matt.
Or Matt.
It's not both. It's it's or.
If one of them, and the person that's there has the opportunity to just get the other person out by voting against that at that point, well, like why would you even take it that far? Because then at that point, the person if you go to rocks again, then the person that you're trying to get out is now the safe one. So it's just like that whole Lauren having the 2 votes made that whole fucking thing with Heidi completely useless, because you're laying out an absolute best case scenario to that.
I agree. Thing. Like, let's say they vote for Matt, it's tied 3-3 Matt. Yeah, Jam can just hop on Matt on the revote and get Matt out, but does that help Jam long term? And
it blocks him keeping him in the game.
The thing is too, if Lauren is involved in the tie, there's only 3 votes, not 4 on the revote. because
Is
she
there?
won't
There's
vote.
not. It doesn't
Well,
over.
if she's involved in the tie, she doesn't vote. She doesn't re-vote.
See, Ben, fucking.
So,
that's what I'm saying.
yeah.
That's why
So
Ben's the real brains
If
of this
she forced
operation.
Brandon or Jamie to vote for Lauren, and then
Mhm.
Matt and Jam jumped on it, it would be 3-3. And then on the revote, it would be Brandon, Jamie, and presumably Yam Yam, who would be the ones who would be voting, and Heidi would be controlling either Brandon or Jamie's. Well, actually, this is a question now because this
Yeah,
I don't
it
think was
just won't
clarified
revote.
whether Heidi controls the vote through a revote. You would think it would make sense.
I would
for her
think
to.
yes.
I would
Yeah.
assume she would have.
So, assuming that she
Yeah.
can control the vote through a revote, which is something that probably she would have to clarify to make sure that she can make this move to begin with, because otherwise it's completely inconsequential.
Right.
Then yeah, that's the obvious play. Is like then Heidi controls the vote again, puts it on Lauren for a second time, and then Jam presumably also will stick with that and not screw over Matt. So.
I mean,
That's another,
presumably,
like,
I don't know
that's
if
another,
this
like,
cast
best
would
case
do it,
scenario.
but
That's like a literal best case scenario too, because if I'm like if I'm Brandon at that point, I'm like doing everything I can to force the MEM into not doing that.
Well, yeah, here's the thing, right? Because like worst case scenario, even if Jam like chickens out or gets like convinced by Brandon or Jamie or whoever, then like doesn't matter as much because you've still at least burned the extra vote, which I think is what Heidi was trying to do by stealing Lauren's vote to begin with. But that makes literally no sense because there's no advantage. Like as we saw with how it played out, there's no reason for her to play the extra vote if like she's not on the table, right? There's no like incentive for her to use her advantage there when like the incentive for Lauren to use the vote, the extra vote, is if she's a target, because that's going to actually spook her into playing it.
That's like the very lowest worst case scenario is Matt still goes home, but you burn an extra vote, which is better than nothing, right? Which is what they got was absolutely nothing except, her ally. Because once it was like, all right, I'm doing Lauren to vote for Jam, it was pretty much wrap. And so I was like, all right, yeah, Matt's
Well, yeah, it's actually worse than nothing because now Heidi had to publicly stand up, steal Lauren's vote, and target Jam, both of which are now still in the game, and have the exact same result happen that would have happened if she had just threw the advantage in the fire. So it's literally
and
worse than nothing. She pissed two people off.
If you let's say, okay, you're burning the vote, but also like at least like Heidi could be like, all right, like Jam, you voted Matt out. That sucks for me, but hopefully I want to work with you because I tried to give you an out with my advantage the only way I knew how. Where like you're saying now, the door is closed. It's and Soka's in just really, really dire straits at this point.
Yeah. And I don't even know where this like whole group of 10 moves forward because like I don't even know who would be working with whom at this point. Like does like Carson become the swing vote? Like I feel like he just kind of I feel like Carson just kind of fell ass backwards into a great spot for like by doing nothing. If he doesn't, vomit his brains out and like die and get medevaced next week, it seems like he's in a solid position.
So lame. That'd be so lame if that happened.
Yeah.
After everything we've invested into Carson, that's so far. I don't know.
Well, the show is trying to invest us into Carson.
Yeah.
Just like the show tried to invest us into Matt and Franny, only for that storyline to go literally nowhere.
To be killed by the show.
The only thing I can think of now is maybe Franny does go on that war path that I joked about last episode. Hey, if that happens, this could become an amazing season, but I'm not going to count on it.
I still think even if that happens, I still think just the grotesque way everything happened in this episode, I think is like the mortal wound to this season. Because I think I was gonna say I think either way how it turns out, it's still that frustration of that it's not even a real merge. I mean, we had 1 week where there was no vote because somebody was medevaced. We had the following week after that they did the split team, half merged, half not bullshit last week, and then we have another vote again this week where we have we're half people aren't voting, and then bullshit advantages. It's just I don't know. This cast had the intrigue. Sorry, there's like bugs and shit down here. The cast had the intrigue to just make a regular standard first merge vote interesting, and they were completely robbed of it. And like I said, other things too. I feel bad for Franny, both in the front. Obviously, she lost her best ally. We completely could do nothing about it with Matt, but also, like I said, completely robbed of beating the biggest guy there for the first individual immunity, even though it wasn't a real individual immunity. That's like, it's very frustrating to watch, and it's very upsetting. And even the fact that we just had to lay out and go over how complicated that whole process was with what Heidi playing the extra vote and how it all needed to work out perfectly. Like, it's too much, and it all stems from someone having a fucking extra vote, an advantage in the game that was thrown in there. It's just crazy. That's so like I really don't know. I don't know if the show could fully redeem itself this season, at least for me, just because everything it just feels so tainted now. And even though I'm on the Carolyn train, and if she wins, like, great, but it's just everything just feels so fucking tainted. Like we couldn't have just gotten like a regular season.
Yeah, and especially because the first 5 to 10 minutes of the episode were actually like seemingly interesting, where it was like, oh, is Danny about to play himself out of the game? Oh, no, never mind. Danny's just not in the rest of the episode because it's completely irrelevant. Never mind. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. And maybe people think like, oh, you expect Heidi to think of like this very complicated thing. You don't expect Franny to do the same. I think like the difference there, just like to kind of explain my rationale, is like Franny's thing is in the heat of a challenge, having to come up with the best strategy, whereas like presumably Heidi had time to sit and go through her strategies.
And she laid out the exact thing that we talked about too, of voting, picking for someone from Ratu to vote against. She laid it out herself.
I mean, it seems obvious
on the table.
Yeah, it seems obvious that was the play, no matter what. But
that was the first thing she said, and then he immediately was like, "No, that's too obvious and smart. Let's try and do something stupid.
Yeah.
It won't work."
The only thing I can think of is
but I want to like.
Go ahead, Brian.
What?
Do we lose you? Oh, sorry, you were frozen. I was.
Oh, can you just hear? Oh no.
Yep.
Now, what were you saying?
I was going to say the only, and it doesn't save Heidi at all, but the only like sort of rationale she can get, even though like Ben had said too, you've now made an enemy out of Lauren and out of Jam seemingly from stealing the vote and then voting against, is that Heidi still got what she wanted of taking Matt out of the game, but maybe holding a relationship with Franny. But at that point, like, you've still dwindled down your alliance by one. So it just doesn't matter. So now that I've even said it out loud, it really doesn't. There's no good outcome to what just happened for her.
Mm-hmm. And I'd like to, maybe not now, just because it's a long discussion, but maybe in the off season we do an episode. We have some other Survivor minds come on and just like break down, what does it mean to be good at Survivor in the new age, and what does it mean to be bad at Survivor in the new age? Because what did Matt do wrong to get voted off here? Nothing. He didn't do anything wrong. He was a competent player. He got a fake idol, and then the second he had any information about how the twists with the idols worked, he put together that, oh yeah, I probably have a fake idol. And his bag is at camp. When has that ever been an issue? When has production ever been like, oh, sorry, you don't have access to your things anymore? What? Why is this a storyline? I feel like this was like something that was just like, given. Like, how many times have survivors shown up to a challenge and been swapped tribes, and none of them have been like, I guess my stuff's gone forever. Like, what is happening?
It's especially with recent seasons too. It seems better to sit back and try to stay as irrelevant as possible and not get voted out, but also like not do anything to build up your criteria until you're down to like final 5. It seemingly is what they also want. I don't know, because like it's not only what did Matt do wrong. It's that Matt was also playing a really solid game up until that point. You hadn't had a fucking vote. It didn't even really need it. Finally gets the vote back, and doesn't even have a chance to play it. Like Matt was in a situation where he literally had no chance to save himself short of winning the immunity, and not realizing the situation he was getting put in. Yeah, and then we could be in the whole fucking reverse side of this too, of why didn't Matt try to save Franny and drop the ball or blah 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 blah. So it's just it all stems back to, in my opinion, obviously in the same for you guys, production and so all that bullshit. I don't know.
Yeah, and as for production, what is not allowing the Castaways to have their bags at this new beach give you? Like, how is that good? I don't understand that. I don't know. Am I being weird for being hung up on this? Like,
no,
I felt like this was like an unprecedented moment where, like, we've had people leave idols at camp, sure, but that's like they go to tribal and they're like overconfident. It's like, oh, here's this thing that you really couldn't predict happening, and now you're gonna suffer for it, and you can't. Like, is a shot in the dark a tangible thing, really, or is it like a more of like everyone has a shot in the dark? Like, I didn't realize the dice was anything more than just like its symbolic representation of you playing your shot in the dark. You know what I mean?
I think I do feel like I did know they had a physical thing, because I think you can only play it once.
No,
right?
I get like it's a physical thing, but like, why does it have to be? Why can't you just be like, I'm using my shot in the dark?
I'm totally on board with you.
You can take the dice from me when I get back.
Obviously, I haven't. I don't have the depth of knowledge you two do, but I can't think of any scenario where someone has had something they need to use in the game and not been able to use it because they were forcefully put somewhere else. I can't think of a single situation where that's happened before.
No,
there's been instances where people have left their idols at camp,
buried the idol. So maybe someone. So if they knew there was a steal an idol situation where they handed it to someone else or left it. So
yeah, but it's like you're telling me every single tribe swap in history that everyone brought all of their stuff to it. Everyone brought all their idols and advantages to every single challenge every time. Like, that doesn't seem realistic to me. I feel like this is outside of the game. Maybe I'm getting hung up on this, but like the fact that Matt was disadvantaged by this, like completely out of his control twist is, weird to me.
Did they make a point too? Did Franny know he didn't have his bag, or would she not find out until the final tribal or the tribal council? Okay,
it didn't look like she knew.
Was he not able to just like right at the end as they were leaving the challenge be like, Franny, bring my back to tribal?
Yeah, I guess. I mean,
it does make you wonder. Like, in those situations, are they literally like told like off screen, like, don't fucking say anything to anyone? Like, I do wonder if there's that scenario, because we get.
What are they gonna do? Are they gonna pull him from the game in that moment for screaming, Franny, bring my back to tribal? I feel like that would. Like, they're not gonna ruin the episode over that, all right? Like, there's a point where you kind of have to, like, you have to take a risk. Basically call production's bluff that they're not gonna completely fuck their show over something stupid.
Because it also seemed like Jeff was totally gonna be willing to let him get his shit out of the bag if Franny had it. Or I wonder if that was just Jeff being a MFer, being like he knowing she doesn't have it.
He knew she didn't have it, and he just wanted to like twist a knife.
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like that's so insane to me that this was like a potentially game ending, thing for Matt. You know, he didn't really have an idol, but if he did, he would have been screwed. And then he didn't even have a shot in the dark on a night where like playing a shot in the dark really would have made sense.
Was one of the first scenarios we've had where a shot in the dark would have been 100% the right move, and if he had gotten it, would have been an all-time move. But once again, Survivor can't get out of their own way. I didn't even think about that until now. It was literally the perfect time to use the shot in the dark. Oh my god!
That's why it frustrates me that That's why it frustrates me that the shot in the dark is a tangible thing, because it's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be like everyone has the opportunity to sacrifice their vote for, you know, what's the difference between the dice and folding up a piece of parchment and putting it in the bag? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's so insane to me.
You're not even like using the dice. You're just pulling paper out of there.
That's what I'm saying. Like, your sacrifice. It's not like you can bluff somebody. It's not like you can transfer your shot in the dark to someone else. So why does it have to be a die?
Wow, that's just another. It's something they have set up, and for some reason, when it's a perfect time to use it, they don't want to do. I don't. It's wow. I hate it even more now. Because imagine how awesome of a moment that would be. Of him dropping it and getting it, even him not successfully doing the tension you would have gotten from that, and also maybe potentially the panic from other people to vote differently would have made Heidi's steal a vote completely more useful in that scenario.
Well, it wouldn't have been that much tension because we would have known the one vote. So it would have been like we could have probably pieced together that JMGM would be going home with one vote, right? But yeah, it would have at least taken what was very obviously going to be Matt going home to like have it be potentially not. But then then we would have a situation where JMGM would be even more screwed over than Matt was here.
Right.
Like Matt was relatively screwed over here. If Matt had used his shot in the dark from like a bag that Franny brought to tribal council or something like that, and got the shot in the dark, and JamJam went home on a vote that none of the five of them that were sitting there even cast, that would have been probably the most psychotic elimination in the history of reality TV.
Yeah.
So like,
I agree.
I feel bad for Matt, but I almost feel like that would be even worse.
Yeah, I just don't get like one, not giving them their stuff at all, and two, like why is a shot in the dark a tangible thing to be played? Yeah. I don't know.
I guess if Matt made it known that he was playing a shot in the dark, I think there's like, you know, a chance that JamJam throws a vote on like Jamie, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Just to try and tie it 1-1 in case it lands.
Yeah.
Because also, Matt. Yeah. Because then they would have known Heidi had the take a vote.
Yeah.
Before they voted. So yeah.
Which would have been even more ridiculous if you know, they go to a tie there, because it wouldn't have even mattered there, because like on the tie they would have re-voted and like none of them could have voted except for like Brandon, and then Brandon would just vote out JamJam, and it's like it's almost like there should just be like 2 immunity idols and winning challenges and full tribals. It's almost like that's just the best formula that's worked for fucking 40 seasons. And for some reason they just don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah, novel concept of having 11 people vote at the final 11 tribal council instead of 5.
I wonder what goes through the mind of like when they're laying out like the scenarios of how what could work when during this. Like there's no way they think of this like 3-4 weeks before the contestants even arrive at the island. I feel like I imagine that they have these things in their pocket and they're playing it as the game goes on. That's at least how I would assume it goes. Because from an actual entertaining show standpoint, you like can't stick to one singular plan no matter what happens with the contestants. Like I feel like they had to say, you know what, all right, this like if we get to this in this scenario, well, this is what will happen. I just don't know how they would have seen this playing out well in this spot. I don't. It feels like I'm being trolled. It really does. It feels like I'm being trolled from production at this point.
Yeah.
It feels like there's just no one, and I don't know. I don't want to blame like Jeff. You know, I don't think Jeff is coming up with all of these twists on his own. But if Jeff likes a twist, I feel like there's no one to like be like, well, how would this like work realistically? Let's like really break this down. You know, I know when like Ben and I have worked on like game design stuff, a lot of times we try to be like, what's the worst outcome of this twist? And is that outcome good enough for us to put it in? Because you can't have people feeling the way we feel right now and how everyone on Twitter feels, let alone Reddit.
Yeah.
I haven't checked Reddit.
It's a vast majority of people feel very similar to how what we're discussing right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I saw like
it's
and I just briefly went on Reddit and I saw like 4 different threads that's like Jeff ruined Survivor. So
well, we've been saying it, you know. We've been on that train. It's funny because I've been listening to the Survivor 40 like post games. Like one came up, I think Kim's post game RHAP interview came up on my suggestion. I listened to that, and I listened to a little bit of Denise's too. And I'm like, oh, that wasn't that long ago. And I definitely felt like they weren't playing like a pure form of Survivor in Winners at War, but it feels so much more like Survivor from like what they were talking about. You know what I mean? Than what we have now. It might be that season 40 really was the end of that, like Jeff says, the end of the era, but the end of the conventional way of playing Survivor, because like I don't really think there's a strategy anymore to Survivor. You just gotta like play and hope that you're lucky enough to bob and weave all these like stupid ass twists, and then you get to the end and hope that you win. You know,
It really does feel like luck is the biggest thing you need now, rather than strategy or physicality. It really is luck, and that's like it's very boring. It's very boring to me in the end. I think you have 1 or 2 seasons where someone you know, like is able to in the background play their game, and then you know a few things go right their way and they're able to get up there. Like that's I think Erica was fine, but Erica is, in my opinion, someone that happened with, where she's very much in the background, was seemingly on the wrong side of these votes every time they happened, and then out of nowhere, you know, numbers fell her way, and she was able to play a good game for the final like 6 days or whatever it was, like a winning game. But like Erica was not the dominating force in that series from beginning to end. And you know, very rarely is the person that's dominant in the beginning win the whole game, but now it just feels like it really is just luck of the draw, with, you know, who, what, when, right place, right time type of thing now, which that's very boring. It's not, it's they're playing the lottery at that point.
Right. Survivors are always had a lot of luck, but the fun in it was seeing these players like mitigate the effect of the luck on their games based on how good they were at positioning themselves. I don't know, like when you can go out like Matt did today, I don't really see like how he could have potentially positioned himself much better than, and he just got you know.
Yeah, I mean, he probably should have like I don't know, like ran over and pushed Franny in the challenge.
Yeah, that was really it. That's where he went wrong. Man, fuck, we are negative. Again, this buff just amazing, really good.
Rightfully so. I'm not buying the buff anymore. I was going to. I'm not buying it anymore.
I mean, I'll never stop. I'm too much of a buff simp, but I respect that.
It also really feels like, and maybe I'm being too negative. It really feels like we're kind of back to square one, where now week by week, we're going to have to be nervous about what's going to happen, what new advantage is going to be introduced, what stupid twist is going to now happen, and they get to completely alter the game now. So we're on such a good path this season that I texted before. I'm excited about the episodes. It was for the first time since watching live for me that I felt that. And it's like completely robbed, completely gone. It's just, and my favorite player, the sole player I'm really rooting for to win, is still in the game, completely safe and in a good position. And I'm still like, I don't know. It's just, it's all life has been completely drained out of this for me.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys feel this too. I feel like every time I watch the preview for the next time, it's like it's making me want to watch the next episode less. Like coming into this one, I was like, oh, there's a lot of really interesting dynamics for this group of 11. And like that, like we said, that could have played out based off of what we saw in the first 5 to 10 minutes. But because of the preview from last week being like, and you won't have any impact on who gets voted out here, which was a lie, by the way. We kind of glossed over that. That's the production's lying to the contestants still, which was a big sticking point with the hourglass twist. But like that completely took the air out of my sails in terms of caring about this episode coming in as much. And now in this preview for next week, it's like, oh, Carson, who's like one of the like only interesting, strategic, well-positioned players who has like a story, is like, oh, we're teasing that he might get medevaced. And it's like, oh, well, they've teased medevaced before. That might not happen. But they did tease Matt's medevaced or Matthew's medevaced, and that happened. So it's like, now I'm sitting here like, is Carson going to get medevaced next week? And like this character that they've spent 7 episodes building up as strategically, socially important is just going to like be wiped off the board for no reason. Like, I don't even know if I care.
I didn't see the trailer for next week, but I do agree now to a point, because like we talked about it last week too when we saw the trailer for this week. That was obviously the big highlight that we were nervous about, was what this was going to be. Kind of ended up being maybe worst case scenario. I think it could have maybe been somehow been worse if it was simply I think I said of like the first loser or something with immunity, where they get, or if somebody's forcefully like removed from the game. When
there had been no vote.
Yeah.
With no vote, it would have been worse.
It would have been worse, but I think we're pretty close to rock bottom. No, I mean, like I said, now I'm very reluctant. I still was excited because of how great this season had gone, but now I'm totally reluctant. I'm still not completely bought in on Carson the way you guys are, but I think my hate goggles are blinding me from it.
No, I mean, I'm not saying you have to like Carson. I think there's definitely like aspects of Carson that I understand disliking, but it's very clear that the show wants us to care about Carson and invest into his story, and is pointing him out as like strategically competent, socially competent. Like he's like I said, in a very, very good position right now, headed into this final 10. So it would be very anticlimactic in a story perspective. Similar to how I think the man for any story was kind of anticlimactic, assuming Franny doesn't like go on a revenge tour and win. It would be very anticlimactic if he just like unceremoniously gets medevaced next week or something like that. Like it would just it would take the wind even more out of the sails of the season.
Although I think I did say that Carson's 4th in who I think is winning ranking, so I could take that back. I acknowledge his game. Yeah, I guess I hate him. But yeah, I agree, because at that point, I don't know, because Carolyn didn't really get much screen time this week, so like I don't know where she stands at socially.
Well, she was immune and she was irrelevant.
Collective group, yeah.
So like, why would she get?
I guess, but also like
she had like 3 or 4 confessionals.
Yeah,
I have no idea where she stands with making new friends with this whole tribes, but I still put her in a pretty good spot. But yeah, if you have someone that's in that you would consider like top 3 best positions to win right now and just get medevaced after the shit we've gone through this week, yeah, that's very, very frustrating. Especially if it's like something dangerous set up from the game. If it's something like him going rock climbing and he falls, well then at that point I just feel bad.
It looked like he was getting like physically ill, like he was like vomiting profusely.
Pen or blood infection,
which is
bring that back.
Literally the last thing you want on a show where you're not eating is also vomiting. Yeah. Like that's a kind of huge spiral you can go down there.
No,
We saw
it's
like in Edge of Extinction, Laura, and she like fainted during a challenge because she couldn't keep food down
mhm.
at all. So
No, it's cool. He just ate fucking 5 gigantic peanut butter and jellies instead of like just giving them real food. So no, it's he's all good. Also, my boy, Kane, dude can't shut up about D&D. I really think that he's a plant from the D&D movie.
Hold on. I want to
Yeah.
say this about Kane. How did we go from last week where Kane was basically like treated as a joke and like basically like not included in strategy at all to like them trying to like shoehorn him into being like strategically and socially like well connected out of nowhere, like with no flow, no it just kind of it felt like whiplash to me in terms of how I was supposed to view him.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a good answer for you because they did just kind of make it up as they're going along, but that's what kind of makes this so difficult to podcast on. Because when we were talking about doing a podcast, I was thinking like, oh, this will be great. We're going to be breaking down like the intricate strategies of these players, but more, it's just like, yeah, I don't really know what's happening on this show. I'm watching it every week, but I don't know.
I can't like talk about Kane's game at all. I have no idea. I have no idea what he's doing. I know he likes D&D. He's from Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Being from Canada is huge recently. Just saying. Yeah. Being from Canada is historically what you need to be a winner.
Yeah. We know Kane is like Carson's 5th most important ally, and that's
it. Yeah. I think the only other like thing I have to ask is, how do you guys think like Julie Chen feels about Jeff stealing her line of expect the unexpected here? It's crazy. That's not Survivor, Jeff. Sorry, man.
Yeah.
And it's funny because a lot of times when Ben and I complain about Big Brother, saying, hey, these twists are hurting. No, the game is really good. Just let the players play your game. And Jeff was like, oh, absolutely. We're going to steal the worst part of Big Brother from it. All these stupid twists.
Yep. Yeah. Brian is very familiar with on the Have Not Room, my ranting about at the very least on Big Brother, they usually front load all of their stupid twists to like the first 4 or 5 eliminations, and then like the back half of the game is like slightly less twisty, at least in modern seasons. So like it's not as bad because it usually doesn't have like a terrible impact, and like usually the socially and strategically incompetent people are eliminated regardless of the twists. So like it's frustrating from a viewing perspective in terms of like following the narrative, but it's not as impactful as turning an 11-person vote into a 5-person vote where one of those 5 votes is basically random, and like one person of those 5 is immune, and one person of those 5 has an extra vote that they may or may not play. And of those 5, 3 of them are very clearly, obviously bonded from previous relationships. And it's just totally random that the other 2 ended up in the position they're in, from drawing stones out of a bag. Like, okay, I mean, I guess we're doing that. Okay.
I'm just going through the Reddit. Yeah. I hate everything.
Yeah, I just like, I have no interest in playing Survivor for real, period. Like, regardless, even if it's normal Survivor, other than being like on Survivor and being able to be like, yeah, I was out there for a season. What is the pull? Like, why would you want to play this game? Like, if someone's like, hey, you have a chance to win $1 million on a island, where you're starving and you pretty much have zero control on anything, I'd be like, no, that's terrible. I don't want that.
No, yeah. As soon as Big Brother upped their price to $750K, I'm like, okay, that's the breaking point for me. I would 1,000,000% rather go on Big Brother. It's like a way easier game to play now than Survivor is. You aren't starving. You're living in a house. It's like way chiller. Like the only downside to Big Brother over Survivor is like you have to be on the live feeds, and like the psycho fans are gonna like analyze your every move. Like that's the only way that Survivor is better than Big Brother, in my opinion. Like, it's like 750K versus $1 million. Like, yeah, that's a lot of money still. Like 250K is obviously a lot of money in terms of a difference, but like it's not enough to warrant having to go on Survivor, starve, and have to deal with like getting twisted out of the game like this in a really stupid way.
I think I do well in like guys' grocery games. I'm not even like a chef, but I think
Supermarket sweep.
I think that's the game show I would want to go on.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a great show. Now, I mean, I love reality TV in all forms, but guys' grocery games is really solid stuff.
No. Watch guys' grocery games next to Succession and Game of Thrones on the new Max app. HBO is completely severing their historic name to call it the Max app, so you can watch fucking Guy Fieri and Daenerys Targaryen like headline the app. That's interesting.
Also Harry Potter now.
I do agree. Yep. I agree. I like if I wanted to play Survivor now, you know, I really wouldn't know how to play. I really feel like I wouldn't know how to play now, and it's like it just seems like if I get lucky, I get lucky. If not, I'll lose a few pounds and be out in a couple of days.
That's the problem too. You might even not. You're only out there for like 26 days. It might not even be that crazy of weight loss. So it's like another incentive gone.
And that's how it just feels like now any sort of hope. I'm now stooped down to with you two of just complete dread of like any sort of hope of getting old Survivor back is completely gone after this.
It only took 3.5 seasons.
Almost to the point where it's like, yep. So it's always like, how difficult would it be to immigrate to Australia and then get on Australian Survivor? Because that show has tons of its own problems, but it's way more like old Survivor than current US Survivor is. And you're there for like 50 days, which is so ridiculous, but you know, it's interesting. Oh man. So anything else that we didn't touch on that you guys wanted to?
I didn't want to touch on any of this, to be fair. So
yeah, that's fair. That's true. I think we gave everyone a good amount of content, considering.
Nope. We don't have a Succession podcast, but Succession had its best episode of the series this past week, so go watch that. I guess
really good.
100%.
Yeah, could have been like that episode of the Overwatch League report. Instead of talking about Survivor, we just talked about Succession, like you and Timur did on that episode of the Overwatch League report.
But I've seen. Spoilers. I saw it. I think it was briefly ranked like the number 14 episode of television of all time on like the IMDb list or something like that. Obviously recency bias. But yeah, phenomenal. I'm very glad. I don't know if this is a controversial take, but I'm very glad that Succession is ending while it's good. Instead of like, you know, doing what some shows do, which is like try and push the envelope over and over again until they like make the show bad, which has definitely never happened before on HBO.
Not on HBO.
And yeah, so like HBO, like honestly, just like cancel your cable subscription, get an HBO subscription, and like, you know, the majority of shows HBO is putting out are going to be fire. All right. Like the only scripted TV I really watch at this point is like, you know, obviously Succession, like Last of Us, House of the Dragon. You know, like I've heard Brian has tried to get me on White Lotus. I'll probably watch it at some point. But like, you know, like I said earlier today, HBO announced that they were doing a Harry Potter series at some point. You know, obviously that's a lot of people probably are going to be like, yeah, it's kind of a cash grab, which 100% it's a cash grab. Obviously, like J.K. Rowling is a piece of garbage, but I'm probably going to end up watching it because the Harry Potter should never have been a film franchise. It should have always been a TV show. That's my take. And I would say my hot take on Harry Potter is that the the film franchise was a bigger cash grab than this TV show is. So
Yeah, they weren't going to not make the film franchise, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
I think I do think that I think luckily TV's in a situation now than where it was in 2000 when the movies started coming out, where like TV seems to be the better medium for almost all forms of storytelling. Obviously, there are still some amazing movies coming out, but like even think of like one of the best movies that have come out in recent memory, Parasite. It's getting its own TV show. Who knows if that'll be good or not? But it seems like the go-to isn't, I want a movie from this TV show. It's that I want a TV show made from these movies or from this book or whatever. Yeah, I completely agree. Apple TV is also very, very good. I will say that Apple TV for the cheap price of like $5 is, in my opinion, the second best provider of content. So that's another platform I highly recommend. Ted Lasso, same thing. Ending before it gets bad. So I completely agree there.
Yeah, I mean, I've been on the
feel
TV
bad for all the
medium for forever. So
yeah, I feel bad for all the books that got adapted like 2013, 2014, where it's like, you could have been a limited series, but no, you were a movie. That was left a lot out. Feel bad for those books.
Yep.
All right, so I'm having internet issues, so we're just gonna wrap this up. Dylan, do you want to tell them where you can find you?
Yeah, DJ Clubberlang on Twitter. Yeah, I'm just sad all the time now. Anyway, on to you, Ben. Go ahead.
Yeah, Ben Sharon on Twitter. I mean, I haven't really been using Twitter. I opened up the app during the episode just so I could see other people to make sure that I wasn't going insane and like that everyone thought the episode was hot garbage, which it seemed to be, like 90% of the people that I saw. So I was like, oh, thank God, all right, I can close Twitter now. So, yeah.
Yep. And you can follow me on Twitter at TheFakeMeMar, BMARR. As Ben said, I was one of the people tweeting about how this is like a comically bad twist. Really terrible. But other than that, don't tweet too much. Yeah, thank you guys and girls and everyone else for watching, listening, and we will see you in the next one.